What's going on, beautiful people? I hope that you are well and in great spirits. One of the questions that I get often is, what are some of the things that you teach your boys about money? And I think it's very important that I answer this question because the work that I do, I navigate the financial services space. I teach in this space. I do a lot of service in this space. And of all the things that I prioritize as it relates to my boys and money, um, my biggest lessons have nothing to do with money at the end of the day. Uh, and that is so incredibly important to understand because when you work in my space and you work with people, one of the things that you pick up on very clearly is that there are a lot of people that are dealing with deep emotional and psychological wounds. And their adaptive response to these things that they've been wrestling with internally is that if I make more money, it's going to make my it better, whatever that it is. And that's just not the case at all. I tell people all the time that money does not have the capacity to love you. It doesn't. Money is simply a tool. It's not a good thing or a bad thing, but it can be used for good. It can be used for bad, unfortunately. And what you find is that for individuals that are struggling with internal things from their past, money becomes a tool that they use to self-soothe. And money in and of itself is a conduit. It's a conduit to something that we feel is going to bring us joy, happiness, contentment, satisfaction, so on and so forth. And where so many people struggle is that when it doesn't bring those things, usually what happens is that people double down on what they think should. It's, oh, well, if it wasn't the house, then maybe I need a bigger house, right? If it wasn't that car, maybe it's another car. If it wasn't this career move, maybe it's another career move. And I'm not saying at all that maybe another house or another car or another career and better in work environment could be incredibly helpful. But oftentimes it's not the thing that we think money will afford us that will ultimately heal us. So one of the biggest things that I teach my boys about money um, is notions of grace, self-compassion, self-love, understanding that perfection is not required, that you are worthy just because you are, that you're extraordinary just because you are. When you think about like all the combinations of genes that could, in effect, create you as a human being, you're a non-fungible token. You are literally an NFT, but one that has a level of value that's unparalleled and unmatched. I want my boys to know that they are unconditionally loved now and always, that they can strive for extraordinary and great things and give their absolute all, and that we'll celebrate their efforts because we know that despite great strivings, we're not always guaranteed the victory that we hope for. But in striving greatly, that's success to me, that's success to your mom. What we want our boys to know is that it's okay to be authentically you. If you like reading, read, art, draw, create, music, sing, even if you can't sing, but you love it. Whatever those things are, be you. Because if we can raise boys that are whole as we can have them be before they leave the nest, they'll be able to build in a way that others struggle to build. It's easier to manage the money piece, much more difficult to manage the heart piece. So at the end of the day, not wanting to make this longer than what this already is that we just want our boys to know that they're loved, but even more importantly, for them to love themselves. That's the very first principle that we work on as it relates to finances with our boys. Now, I'd love to see your comments in this section, but it's not investing, it's not savings, it's not budgeting, it's not insurance or mitigating risk. It's not macro and microeconomics. It's not behavioral things necessarily, or understanding neuroscience and different neurological chemicals that we produce, whether it's dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, cortisol, epinephrine, so on and so forth. I mean, we go all the way down the list of all the things that we could possibly know. None of that matters unless they know that they are loved and that they love themselves first. So that's where we spend our time. And we feel like if we can lay that foundation, then everything else we can build on. So thank you all for joining me this evening. Just wanted to take a moment to drop in and to share my thoughts on a question that I get often. Until next time, you have more power than you think. Own it. Bye.